Let's touch on that. Amanda was reporting there a ruling by Europe's second-class court. It has huge implications for the Republic, for tax, for the way EU member states operate, and indeed business-wise for Apple in particular. This is what's been decided by the EU's General Court. Apple does not owe $13 billion in back taxes to the Irish Republic. It overturns a previous ruling by the European Commission. They'd said, you do, give them the money. Yeah, we know you've got big plants and loads of jobs in Ireland, but pay your taxes. This reverses that. At the centre of this was a question of whether Ireland had been giving unfair state aid to the company and, preferential stuff. Well, cybersecurity and technology expert at the university, Ulster University, is of course Professor Kevin Curran. Kevin, this is huge. I mean, people are saying already online, 13 billion, that would have solved every problem that the Republic of Ireland has now on for about 10 or 15 years. But they're not going to get the money. And it seemed they didn't want the money. It's certainly a landmark ruling.
It is indeed, yeah. A lot of the tech giants in Silicon Valley are sitting up a lot happier this morning. Yes, Ireland said they didn't want the money because they said we didn't do anything special. There was never any emails found. There was never any special tax relief given to Apple different than any other company in the country. That we know that Ireland has the second lowest corporation tax in Europe. Hungary has got 9%, Ireland's 12.5%. They've had that for years. Now, again, Apple say that they worked within the law because there is the famous double Irish where you set up a subsidiary in Ireland, you send the profit, you send the money to Holland, you route the money from Holland back to your second subsidiary, and then this effectively means you can move the money around. Then you move it to Bermuda or somewhere tax haven, so you can effectively move your money around. But this is all within the game of tax. There is not. This is what's allowable, of course, and they've got the best lawyers working for them. Success breeds success, and they've had people who were able to set the structure up for them again. Now, again, one of the things I said was to the European Commission, saying, "No, okay, if you think we granted favourable tax terms to Apple, show us another country where we didn't do it, or another company. In other words, that you can show us where we've acted favourably in a special way for Apple rather than any other company," and that's the case.
It covers 11 years in the Republic between 2003 2014, as well as 1.2 billion of interest. Is there part of this, Kevin, I know you're not a political voice, but in the sort of small p political, socio-political stuff of Ireland being a good boy and Apple saying, we're going to stay in Ireland. Let's be honest, Apple's investment in the Republic has been utterly vast, and the Republic has done well by way of jobs. But I pay my taxes, you pay yours. Why shouldn't they?
You do pay taxes. Yeah, Apple is the biggest taxpayer in Ireland.
In Ireland?
Okay.
But
in Ireland, they're the number one taxpayer. Because you imagine, they're the first company to reach $1 trillion, in valuation. They're the richest company in the world, really, and I adore Apple. Actually, I really adore Apple. I'm a fanboy.
But in terms of corporation tax, Kevin, the thing we know that the Republic of Ireland has low corporation tax by comparison with other players. If you were investing, you would go, well, I don't have to pay as much tax in Dublin as I do in Dusseldorf. That's a no-brainer, is it not?
Exactly. Well, that's up to the EU Commission to come along and to force her, and to change the things. And at the moment, Ireland's playing by the rules which are in existence. And they've known that since they started becoming the EU, really. So again, because simply as this, if you want to explain it as if people think Apple did a shady thing, what, of course they have the best. The game of tax is, if you're a tax accountant and you're the best in the world, you want to have your company pay the least amount payable under the law. The fact is, Apple have two subsidiaries in Ireland. One is for sales and one is for operations, and they're both in Europe. One's for Apple Sales International, ASI, and Apple Operations Europe, AOE. Okay, but so they route all the profits that they sell all their iPads, their iPhones, and everything else. Your AirPods and everything back to Ireland. But actually, all the design, if you think about it, Apple's not an Irish company. Anyone knows that. Apple's an American company. All the intellectual property, all the design, the factories, the work, the interface, everything that went into the Macintosh, the Apple, the watches, all that was done in the United States. And they say that that's where we pay our profits to the United States government, because this is where the technology developed. All we're doing is using Ireland for support calls. Yes, we're shipping out products there. Yes, because we're international.
But it's also the
property lies in the United States.
Yeah, but it's also the English language bridge into mainland Europe. Ireland has unique qualities and skills bases there. Kevin, what about speaking then to the broader moment, this notion of unchallenged wealth? Countries and economies, ours and others, on their knees, struggling badly, and yet these super trillionaires walking around without a care in the world. I think there's a moment there where ordinary citizens are saying, listen, I have to pay every penny. You've explained, okay, they're going by the book, but maybe the book's wrong.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, that's right. I'm not saying that the European Commission was wrong here to investigate this. We have to do something. I'm a big believer that the giants of Silicon Valley should be taxed heavier, should be taxed in accordance with what devices, what technologies sell within the country, and it should be fairly imposed around the world rather than the profits come back to the US.
Everybody in this country, about half of us have Facebook. So they're making profits from me and the next person. I mean, this program operates on a Facebook page. Shouldn't they be paying tax for the benefit they get from our using of their product?
I totally agree, and this is where the person behind this, Margaret Vestager, she's trying to make Europe make technology fair within Europe, especially with regard to tax, because in this case they use an antitrust law to try to get Apple really to pay more tax. But I totally agree. I agree that it should be fair, that profits should be rooted to the individual countries. Otherwise the United States just becomes richer and richer, and the rest of us suffer because of that. So I welcome these investigations, but to be honest, you got to play within what was a fair law at the time, and rather than just because it looks unfavourable. But to be honest, and this will be appealed as well. This will drag on for another few years, and the money at the moment, $14.8 billion, will remain in an escrow account. But no, I totally agree with you. Amazon becoming the street of the world, really, and so why should the profits not come back to Ireland, UK, anywhere else that people are buying products? And I believe that the US have shown how much they can bully when they want to, especially with the Huawei antitrust thing. So again, other countries have done that. So I believe that we shouldn't let them get all the profits and keep them. No, I totally welcome antitrust or cases like this by the EU Commission.
Kevin, listen, thank you for that. Just to bookend that piece, the European Commission concluded that 2 tax rulings in 91 and 2007 issued by Revenue to Apple had, quote, substantially and artificially lowered the tax paid by the firm in Ireland since 91 and therefore amounted to illegal state aid. The Commission's claim was that the rulings rubber-stamped a method of determining taxable profits for 2 companies, as Kevin said. They're based in Ireland, Apple Sales and Apple Operations, which are managed from outside Ireland. So it's like, if you've got a company in Derry, say you make baps in Derry, and you've got a great bakery that buys them by the bucket load in Buncrana. Are you accountable for the taxes that you make on the profits in Buncrana? Of course you are. Of course you are as a trader, aren't you? The argument being, no, the brains for these baps came from Derry, and they'll pay their taxes in Derry, but still, they do seem to get richer and richer as everybody else seems to be sort of kind of half left behind. Listen, so much to talk about on this programme today. Now, coming up after 2 o'clock,